Hi guys, it's Arielle. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today is going to be the second and hopefully final part of this whole GoPro UPS drama saga. I wanted to film this video to not just sort of conclude this story and to tell you how everything headed up, but also to hold these companies accountable. I literally cannot believe this whole situation happened. And then I also want to tell this story again, same with part one, is to make you guys aware of all of these things that can go wrong when you order items, to make you more vigilant and to, really just make you guys aware of what you can look out for to make sure that you don't fall into this trap like I did. It's been over a month since I filmed the first video. I finally have more of a concrete update and solution to give you guys, so that's why I'm filming this. The details are a little bit foggy in my head. I have my laptop here and I sort of wrote everything as I went because not only did this drama, this whole fiasco span over a month, but it happened, like this whole situation happened while I was in France, and then while I was in Canada, and then while I was in Greece. So there's all these time changes, there's these location changes, there's all these new details. I didn't always have my laptop. So yeah, I did have to take a second and to write down a timeline and, make things as factual and cohesive as I can while I'm telling the story. If you guys haven't watched part one, I will leave that down below. But basically where we left off is essentially I ordered 900 euros of equipment, I was delivered an empty box, and I called UPS and GoPro to report the whole situation. And once that happened, UPS told me that they had to conduct their investigation, and that in order to conduct their investigation, they had to collect the box and all of the contents within it. And I was like, no problem, you guys can definitely pick up the box. The one item out of 8 that was delivered was the chesty, which had a value of 24.99 euros. So of my 900 euro bill, that was the one thing that did get delivered. And they were like, yep, send us the box as you have it, send us any items that you found in it, any papers. We just want to collect the whole thing for the investigation. And they were very clear that they couldn't even begin, never mind conduct this investigation without receiving this box. And I was like, no problem, that is my priority. Let me give you this box so you can do your investigation. And I will add that I was a little bit constrained for time here. I had initially ordered the GoPro for my trip to Canada, which I was taking early September, but ultimately I knew I had to have this GoPro before my trip to Greece because that's essentially where I wanted to use it, filming adventure, filming underwater. That's really the meat and potatoes of why I needed this camera. So there was a bit of a time crunch for me, even though all of this happened in August. I was like, let's get this done as soon as possible. Hopefully I can take it with me to Canada. So yeah, I had this whole conversation with UPS, and the lady on the telephone tells me that I will receive a call from someone from their claims department who is going to schedule a pickup with me of this box. I'm like, amazing. I never get that call from their claims department. And so I call UPS back up. I'm like, oh, is this normal that I haven't received a call? I haven't had this scheduled pickup so you guys can retrieve the box and everything. And the new lady on the phone was like, what? Like, you're not gonna have a call from the claims department. The way this works is that randomly a UPS delivery man will call you when he's in your neighborhood and he'll try and pick up the box from you. And I'm like, okay, that is so not the information I received. I was like, do you mean to tell me that I don't have a time frame? You could come at any point and try and pick up this box? She was like, yep, we don't give time slots for these pickup. We don't give you any sort of notice. The driver literally will just randomly call you in the next couple days, even today, when he's in your neighborhood, and he'll try and pick up the box, and we're gonna do 3 attempts, and if you're not home after the 3rd attempt, then we close the investigation. And so I'm like, so you are expecting me that over the next 3 days, I take 3 vacation days and I sit beside my phone waiting for your UPS driver to tell me he's in my neighborhood and that he can pick up my package? She's like, yep. I'm like, I literally was like, ma'am, I totally get that this is not at all your fault, but please be realistic. Like, please put yourself in my shoes, because I imagine, you have a job working with UPS. You can't just take 3 days and tell your employer that you need to sit at home and do nothing because UPS has to pick up a package. Like, you just can't come into work today because you're waiting for UPS. She was like, yep, well, we don't schedule pickups, so you're just gonna have to wait. And I was like, okay, well, all right, thank you. We ended the call. But realistically, that wasn't possible for me. Like, I was not able to sit at home for 3 days in a row waiting for them to pick up this package. So I call GoPro and I'm like, I want to be as helpful as I can in this investigation. I want it over with as quickly as possible. I will drop this box off somewhere. I will mail this box to you. It's not a problem, but I really can't sit around for 3 days waiting. And they were like, whoa, we had no idea that's how the process worked. That's totally not acceptable. I was like, yep. And GoPro was like, okay, well, I think he said I'll let my supervisor know, or I'll take note of it, and we'll get back to you. And they never got back to me. I don't know if anyone escalated that information, but the reason why I'm really emphasizing this is that UPS told me that they would close this investigation, meaning I would not even have a chance of getting a refund if I wasn't home during the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd attempt of a pickup. And to me, that's just not acceptable. To me, that's like asking for the investigation to be closed. That's like basically saying that you don't want to take accountability and you're going to make it as hard as possible for the customer to get this investigation going. Thankfully, I got a call a couple hours later from a driver who was in my neighborhood and who was going to come pick up the package. So I'm very thankful that this happened on the day of. I'm thankful it happened at a moment when I was home. So I was like relieved to not be stressed about that anymore. And the driver that comes to pick up the package is actually the same driver that dropped off the package. And he recognized me right away. He's like, oh, wasn't I here yesterday? And I was like, yes, it was you that delivered me an empty box, sir. And he was like, oh no, like, really, what happened? And I told him, and I was like, weren't you surprised that your package said 2.3 kilograms and that it weighed maybe 100 grams? He was like, honestly, we have so many deliveries, so many boxes. It's not their process to check the weight of the package and make sure that's what's being handed to the customer. So he told me that he unfortunately wasn't able to make that connection either. But what he did tell me is that what very likely happened is that someone working in their warehouse opened my package, because again, I will put the pictures on the screen of what the package looked like, but when GoPro sent it to me, they sent it to me in a cardboard box sealed with tape. So this person who stole the contents of the package literally just had to unstick tape, sneak their hand in, take everything out, and then like try and close the tape back up. And so he explained to me that it's not the drivers who do it, because the drivers are permanent employees. They don't want to jeopardize their job, but that the people who work in the warehouse loading the trucks, they work on temporary contracts. So they're hired for, I don't remember if he said a few days or a few weeks of work, but they are not permanent employees. They don't have consistent work at the warehouse. It makes it very easy for them to take things because there's really no accountability behind it. And he said something to me like, when this box gets sent back and when they start the investigation, they're going to hopefully look at the cameras in the warehouse. And he said something about being able to see the back of the truck and seeing people who take things. But he told me that it's like almost 100% a warehouse person who stole the contents, and that their next step is probably going to be to look at the cameras. So overall, it was very reassuring, because this delivery man sort of confirmed to me that this is a regular occurrence in the UPS warehouse and that they do have a system of cameras and ways of checking these things. So I was like, great, like they just need to go back and check the cameras. I don't even need to be worried. And so, yeah, he takes the package, I get a little tracking slip, and I get a notification, I think the next day, that the package is delivered to their depot, wherever they do these investigations. And I have accepted at this point that I'm not going to have my camera for my trip to Canada, because every single day I'm calling GoPro and UPS. I am being a squeaky wheel, not in a mean way, but in a way where it's like, I'm still here, I'm still waiting, I don't want you guys to forget me. I am on a time crunch. I would really love this camera that I paid for because I need it for a project that I'm filming. Like, I'm on a timeline here and it'd be awesome if this could be resolved. And I'm calling back every single day and all that. And from the GoPro side, I'm told now that it's going to be a maximum of 15 business days. The guy was like, typically it takes 5 or 6 business days, but our policy is that you will have a resolution within 15 business days. So once he told me that, I was like, okay, I'm probably not gonna have this for Canada, but I will have this for my trip to Greece, because my trip to Greece was like 33 days after I filed this original claim that I had received an empty box. And it was 33 days including weekends, so let's round down and say it was like 25 days from the time that I submitted the claim. So I'm like, okay, perfect, that 25 days, it's gotta be resolved by then, I'll have some sort of resolution. At this point, I'm in Canada and I'm calling them every single day, and because of the time difference, this means that I'm getting up at 6, 7 a.m. every single day to call GoPro, UPS, I'm trying to get updates. And then one day, I get up pretty early morning to I wake up sort of, I'm not a very deep sleeper. I typically wake up like 4 or 5 times in a night. But I wake up at 5 in the morning and I check my phone and to see what time it is. And I see that I have an email from GoPro, and I think that UPS was in the title. So I was like, oh my goodness, maybe there is a resolution. So I open the email, and the email says that UPS has finished their investigation and they have decided that, or they've come to the conclusion that they're not responsible. I don't remember the wording exactly, but they were basically saying, we finished, it's not our fault. And it was a very generic email from GoPro, because at the end of the email it was like, great, have a good day, you can let us know if you need help with any other items, but this is like, your case has been solved. And I just remember no one else in my house was awake at the time. So I just like got out of bed, sat on the couch, got a blanket, and cried. And maybe that seems dramatic to you guys, but to me it was like, I can't believe it. I got scammed by 2 very reputable American companies, and now I am out 900 euros. And I don't know what situation everyone is in that watches my videos and stuff, but to me, 900 euros is more than my rent. Like, that's a lot of money for me to lose. And I just felt so upset. It wasn't even just the fact that I was losing the money. It was the fact that I was telling the truth, that someone had robbed me, and both GoPro and UPS were like, we didn't do it, it's not our responsibility, sucks to suck. And so yeah, I just remember I was devastated at that point. And it was at that point that I decided that I couldn't rely on GoPro or UPS anymore, that I had to report this transaction to my bank as fraud. It was like a dispute of a transaction, and I was disputing it on the basis that I had ordered this equipment and I was sent a literal empty box, which to me is fraud, right? Like, that is not a honest business practice. And my bank is super helpful. They send me a form that I have to complete to explain everything that happened and tell them exactly what transaction I'm disputing. And they also said that I have to go to the police and I have to file a police report or a complaint with the police, again, detailing everything that happened. And so I wasn't in Paris at the time, I was in Canada with my family. So actually my boyfriend Jean very kindly after work one day went to the police. Actually, I don't think he went. I think he was able to file the claim online, and then he was called by a police officer who finalized the complaint with him. But it was so kind of him. He filled out the complaint on my behalf. He talked to the police officer on my behalf, and everything with the police was done through Jean. And I was really grateful because Jean was able to do that on the exact same day that my bank requested it. So the police were notified and my bank was notified. And the police actually told me as well that I should take the complaint or the report and send it to both GoPro and UPS because it will help them speed up the resolution given that a police complaint was now filed. And at the same time, I told my bank, I was like, you know what, not all hope is lost. I don't want to involve you guys unless truly this is 100%, I'm sure it's a case of fraud. And so I was like, let's wait the 15 business days. Let's see what the final answer from GoPro is, and then we'll go from there. I really didn't want to involve my bank unnecessarily, especially if I was going to get the refund from GoPro. So that's where I left things with my bank, with the police. And so because the police had told me to send the report to UPS and to GoPro, I called both of them as soon as their offices were already open because I was up at 5 a.m., which is already open in France. So I first called UPS and I was 1000% in tears. Like I wanted to film my reaction on this day because I wanted to show you guys how distraught I was and how real this situation was, but I couldn't even get myself to do that. But anyways, I called UPS and I told them that I received the results of their investigation and that they weren't true, that I had my package stolen and this isn't an adequate response to the situation. And the guy on the UPS side, it was like crazy. He was like, oh yeah, okay, no problem. Like, let's open a second investigation and we'll go from there. And I was like, oh, what is a second investigation? He's like, oh, well, we'll go back and we'll look for it. And I'm like, why didn't you just look the first time? Like, why if you're just going to go back and look for it, why didn't you just do a thorough investigation the first time around? And he was like, I don't know what to tell you. We're just going to do a second investigation if you aren't happy with the results. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not happy with the results. Please open a second investigation. And that's how I end things with UPS. And I called GoPro and GoPro was like, well, follow up UPS and let's see what they say. And again, they just told me that I need to be patient. It has been the 15 business days. The customers, like I very quickly understood that the customer service people, like the people who were helping me with this whole problem, weren't the same people in charge of the investigation side. So when I called the customer service line and they were trying to help me, they would always say, okay, I don't see a decision made from our side, like the investigation team on our side. Try UPS and we'll let you know as soon as we get information from our side as well. So that's how everything was left. And again, like I'm calling both UPS and GoPro every single day of my life for the past month. Okay, so I wake up the next morning, I call UPS again. I'm like, hello, has the second investigation been started? Any news, any updates? Like, please give me something. And UPS again, it's like every time I talk to someone, the story changes. So again, this UPS person that I have on the phone is like, well, actually, you can't even open a second investigation because we don't have a contract with you. And I'm like, what do you mean? Yesterday they told me the second investigation was open. And UPS was like, it took him 15 minutes to explain it to me because it was just, I really didn't understand how he was getting so many different answers. But he was like, we have a contract with GoPro to deliver their products and you have a contract with GoPro because you bought their products. So GoPro and UPS are linked and GoPro and yourself are linked, but UPS and you are not linked. So you can't even request information. You can't request anything about the investigation. Everything is done via GoPro. We communicate to GoPro and GoPro communicates to you, which is why when you got the results of the investigation, it didn't come from UPS, it came from GoPro. And I was like, okay, so how do we open this second investigation? And he's like, well, GoPro needs to do it. And I'm like, has GoPro done it? And he was like, no. So I'm like, I've been calling GoPro every day and they're telling me they're on it. They are doing everything necessary. And now I have UPS on the phone telling me that GoPro actually hasn't even disputed the results of the first investigation. So I call GoPro back up and I talked to this same man from GoPro. Of the 50 calls I made to GoPro, I probably spoke with this man for 50% of them. And as soon as he saw the case number, because you have to put in the case number before someone calls you, he knew right away. There wasn't even like a hi, hello. He's like, ma'am, I know who you are. I talk to you almost every single day. We have no advancements on this case. You need to wait your 15 business days. And he was very irritated that I was calling, so he was yelling at me over the phone. And I was trying to tell him, I was like, no, I totally understand. I need to wait the 15 business days, but I just got off the phone with UPS. And again, he was yelling and shouting and cutting me off. And eventually I was able to speak a little bit louder and was like, no, but UPS told me that you guys haven't even disputed and that you actually need to do this. And he was like, oh, really? Oh, sorry, no, that's what UPS told me, that not only did GoPro have to dispute the investigation, but they also were able to give me a refund. Like, UPS told me that for them, the investigation was done and that GoPro had to either, have them do a second investigation and that I was able to get a refund. Like, UPS was really telling me that it was all on GoPro and that I was ready to get my refund. And so I told him this. I was like, UPS said I could get my refund from you guys and that if there was a problem with the investigation, you guys had to ask them to redo the investigation. And he was like, okay, let me put you on hold and I'll see if the investigation department on our end has written any notes about your case. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like, thank you for listening to me. Can you imagine if I had just not said anything after he yelled at me for 2 minutes and wouldn't let me speak? Like, it was like this moment where he was like yelling, and he's like, oh, UPS told you that? Oh, okay, yeah, let me help you. It was like, God, like, I know I have to wait 15 business days. If I'm calling you, it's because UPS told me to. So he checks on his side and he's like, yeah, we have no updates here. I have no information I can give you, but I can tell you that our team is on it. I saw that the last update was done yesterday. And I was like, okay, so I totally understand what you're saying, but between you and UPS, someone is lying to me. If you are telling me you're on it, but UPS is telling me that you aren't on it and that you haven't disputed their results, then I think you should understand from my perspective as the customer in between that I'm a little bit frustrated that nobody is being honest or taking accountability. And this man really had it with me. He was like, again, ma'am, nothing I can do. I have no information for you. I'll let you know when you do. You can wait your 15 business days and that's all I have to say. I was like, okay. Yeah, it's like when you hit a brick wall, like you can't, there's not any further I could push. He was like, that's it. Wait, we're doing everything. So this man has told me I have to get my 15 business days and that's that. So I'm trying to be patient. I'm trying to wait. But remember, I did buy this camera specifically for 2 trips, one which is more important than the other. And we were fast approaching my flight for Greece. And it was at a point where there was 10 days before my flight. And we had already been 12 business days into this investigation. So I'm like, okay, if 15 is the maximum amount, maybe there's been some progress. And like I mentioned, I was calling every single day to get updates. Always the answer was, we have nothing for you. But around day 12 of this investigation, like business day 12 of this investigation, I really explained the urgency of my situation. I'm like, I need this camera for a production, and I would love it to be the camera that I paid for. I would love to be able to take the GoPro that I paid for on this trip. But if I am not going to be able to take a GoPro on this trip, the one I ordered, then I need to have a decision so that I can go to a different action camera supplier and purchase something from them so that I do have equipment to film with for this video that I have. And the lady that I spoke with on the phone was like very understanding. She was like, okay, not a problem. Let me put this in the notes that you need a decision by this day. I'm gonna try and see if I can get you sent a replacement today, and if they can speed up this process. And if anyone at GoPro, she was by far the nicest woman. I was shocked that she was telling me there was a possibility I'd be able to receive a replacement expedited to me so I'd have it before this trip, or that I would be able to have an answer either that same day or within the next like 48 hours. I was like, wow, she is so helpful. And I don't get an email that day. I don't get a call the next day. So I call GoPro again and I'm like, I need an answer. I need to know if I have to go buy another camera. And the guy tells me, he's like, it hasn't been the 15 days. We don't have an answer yet for you. But at this point, it's too late for us to, even if they tell you today that you can get a replacement, it's too late for us to ship you a camera. So let's make a decision right now so that it's fast for you. Are we deciding that we no longer want a replacement and you would like to receive a refund, or you want the replacement? I was like, I have said this since the start. I want a replacement if it will arrive for my trip, and if it won't, then I do want the refund. So I put that all in my file, all good. We get to day 17. We get to business day 17, okay? And at this point, I'm like, what the heck? What is going on? It is way past, first of all, it's almost a month past the day that I ordered this camera, okay? We are past the amount of days that they told me it would take to resolve this. I don't have a refund. I don't have a camera. I literally just have a result from UPS saying that it's not their fault. And so I call GoPro back up and I speak to probably the most frustrating man of my entire life. And this guy is like, yeah, we have no information for you. There hasn't even been a decision made regarding your situation. And I'm hearing this, I'm like, what do you mean? Because the people the day before and the day before that and every single day last week were telling me that there was progress and I would either be sent a refund or a replacement. Like they told me I would be sent. They were like, we believe your story. You'll be sent a refund or a replacement. And this guy was telling me no decision has been made. We don't even know what's going to happen to you. You could receive nothing and that's just how it is. And then he goes, well, then I say, well, it's been 17 business days. Like I have been repeatedly told and I have proof from you guys, like written proof that this would not take more than 15 business days. Why is this taking so long? And he's like, honestly, ma'am, I've seen many cases like yours, and sometimes they take over 3 months to resolve. And I'm like, over 3 months? This is the first, I have called at least 65 times, and this is the first time I'm hearing that this could take over 3 months to resolve. So he was like, there is no information I can give you and there is no way to expedite this process. So I'm like, all right, we end the call. And at that point, I'm like, okay, I need to get my bank involved because you can only dispute a card transaction up to 2 months after it occurred. Like after that, you cannot dispute it. So I'm like, if this takes 3 months to resolve, then I need to dispute it before the resolution. Otherwise, I will be double screwed. So I do end up sending the police complaint, the police report, as well as the form to my bank, and I get that whole process going for the card transaction dispute. And I give up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to keep calling GoPro anymore because they've said it could take 3 months, and the guy was really rude and told me to stop calling. And so I go back through my email, and I, like every single time you call, you get a little survey asking you to rate how the call was, and I went back and I answered every single one, and I put 1 star, and I like copy pasted my story and like how I got an empty box and it's been over a month and and yeah, I just give up. I give up and I go to GoPro's competitor, which is DJI. They're the other company that does sports action cameras, and I'm like, I never want to give a single other cent to GoPro. Not only do I not want to support their company because like they didn't even send me the products I ordered, but I also don't want to support them because their customer service sucks. They have no respect for their customers, and I hate that. Like I hate companies where it's like their products are so expensive. Okay, it cost me a lot to buy this camera, and you can't even deliver the product to me and offer the customer service behind that. And furthermore, if you guys remember what the first agent told me the very first time I called, he was like, get a lawyer. You should have been more prepared. You should have ordered this camera way before your trip, and it's not our fault. I'm like, any company that's going to say that to you after you've paid for an item, after you've paid for shipping and delivery, and the item never gets to you, anyone who blames you is not a company that I want to support. So I had every intention to go to their competitor and buy the camera that I needed. And so I'm speaking with a guy at DJI and I'm explaining him what I do. I'm like, I need it for vlogging. I'd like this accessory. I wanted to get like a flip up screen, like a bigger screen so I could see when I'm vlogging. And I wanted a mic that I could attach to it, as well as a case to secure it when I take it underwater and stuff. And the sales guy is like, you know, our cameras are really made for more action style video recording. They're not really made for vlogging. We don't have the same quantity of accessories for vlogging as GoPro does. For example, we don't have the attachable mic that you can get with GoPro. He was like, if I'm being honest, I think that the GoPro product is probably gonna suit you better than our camera. And I was like, you've got to be joking. I don't want to buy with them. I want to buy your product. But he just made it very clear that the type of camera I needed that was both vlogging and action was definitely going to be better if I bought it through GoPro. So I conceded. I was like, well, I need this camera. I need it for my video. So I am going to find a store in Paris that sells the GoPro. And I try a couple stores, I try a couple chain stores. They're like, yeah, we don't sell GoPros. We ended our contract with them a couple months ago. And I'm like, this is so suspicious, but okay, like why are stores not selling GoPros anymore? Is everyone having the same problem with GoPro? But I finally do find a store that sells GoPros. It is an hour away from where I live. So I get on the metro, I go an hour, and I go to buy a GoPro from them. And the reason why I bought my GoPro initially online is because they have this program where if you sign up for the GoPro account, their subscription service, I'm not really sure how to describe it, but it's like a membership that you pay for. If you sign up for that membership, you get 50% off all of the accessories. So the membership itself cost 25 euros, and then all of the accessories that I needed would be 50% off, which saved me, I think, 300 euros. So that's why I initially bought from GoPro and not from that one physical store in Paris that sells their items. And I was like, okay, at this point, like, I cannot order from GoPro, so I'm gonna go to the store, and I bought it, and they were very helpful. And yeah, they sold me all the equipment that I needed so that I could have this camera for my trip. I think it was maybe the day before I leave for my trip, or I don't know, day 19, business day 19 of this case. I really don't remember at this point. But I get this very suspicious email that in the title says GoPro cash refund. And there's a PDF as well as like this really generic email with no signature on it. It's just like, yep, here is your refund receipt. And if you can't view it, you need to download Adobe, and here's the link. I'm like, is this a phishing attack? Like, this is all suspicious. Why would GoPro be sending me a cash refund? And am I gonna download a virus if I click on this link? So I immediately call GoPro and I'm like, hi, I just got this suspect email. It's a bit weird because your customer service rep a couple days ago told me that my case wouldn't be resolved for another 3 months. But is this really a refund? Like, why does it say cash? What is the T here? And she like looks at my account. She's like, yeah, you will be getting a refund. And the reason it says cash is because it's our own coding system. Sometimes it's PayPal, sometimes it's Visa, and we qualify card transactions as cash refund. So I'm like, okay, like your email is a little bit suspicious, but I am relieved to know that I'm getting a refund. Thank goodness. This lady was so nice. Like, congrats, you've got your refund. I'm like, wow, after a month of trauma, I got a refund? Like, it was shocking to me. And I honestly don't know what triggered that response. I don't know if it was me calling a million times. I don't know if it was me filing my police report claim, or if it was me asking my bank to dispute the card transaction. I have no idea what happened to make them take this decision, because truly the last time I had spoken with a GoPro customer service rep, he was like, all hope is lost. We don't even know what's going to happen to your case. You could get nothing, could take months. And I just assumed that it would take those months. So I was shocked. I have no idea how I got this refund. But thank goodness, you know, because like that is the honest thing for GoPro to do. I received nothing and I paid 900 euros, you know, like, and another thing I do want to say about this whole fiasco with GoPro is that their system of making you wait a minimum of 15 business days and then telling you it's going to take 3 months, that is very, I don't know what the word is. It's negligent, that it assumes that people can just live with $1,000 less in their bank account. You know, that it just assumes that I'm well enough off that I can go for a month without the money that you essentially stole from me, and I need to fork out that same money to buy another camera while you're waiting for this investigation to be concluded. It just assumes that the customer can wait that long for them to take a decision because of their fault. Like, I really don't know if this is making any sense, but they or UPS made a mistake somewhere in sending me my product. It was not my fault that I didn't receive my GoPro. And when you make the customer wait up to 3 months or more for a resolution, whether that's a replacement or a refund, you are assuming that that person is well off enough that they don't need that money. And I just think that is very ignorant. That is not the times we are living in today. That, like I said, the amount that I paid for this GoPro and the equipment was more than a month of rent for me. And it would cause me financial problems to just literally have that money taken out and thrown into the wind, you know? So that is another whole issue that I have with this GoPro situation. I also don't like that they don't have a phone number or an email that you can contact. It is purely based on phone calls and chats, which is extremely annoying. And also the chat and the phones are not linked. The phones take you, like when I call in Paris, the phones take me to their customer service in France, whereas the chat takes me to their customer service in the US. And so sometimes they don't transmit the right information. And so that's why I was getting all this sort of information all over the place. But I did end up getting a refund. And I also told them that I want to make sure that the complaint that I have of how, like, not just the situation, but how they package their products is a really big issue. Because when this first happened to me, I really took it on myself. I was like, you know, I should have been more suspect of a package that was pretty light. I should have refused the package from UPS or opened it in front of them downstairs and all that. But again, it's putting the blame on the customer when all I did was pay for a product. And to me, if you are shipping almost 1,000 euros of equipment, like that is not a negligible amount of money. If you're going to ship that, you need to ship it in a much more secure way than in a cardboard box with tape. I'm like, if it's a lot of money, if this is expensive equipment, and if you are having this problem reoccur, like if people are consistently stealing your products out of these cardboard boxes, then you need to come up with a solution, whether that be, even though it's very wasteful, or you could maybe get some sort of biodegradable plastic, but to seal the box in a more secure way than just tape. Like there are a lot of times where I've seen packages arrive in a cardboard box, but there is a plastic bag around it or a paper bag around it even. That way the customer knows if that bag is opened or tampered with, then, you know, they shouldn't be accepting the product. But I really found that their way of packaging such valuable equipment was very poor. It should have never been packed in a cardboard box with tape. Like that is asking for a product to get stolen by a delivery company. Moving on, I did end up with a GoPro and a refund. Got my refund and I got my GoPro from a store here in Paris. And I was not excited. I didn't film an unboxing because I don't want to support GoPro. I hate that I had to support them. I hate the experience I had with them. I hate the stress that they caused me. I hate the time that I wasted trying to resolve this issue. It was an awful experience. It really pained me to have to support them. So I was in no way excited to get this camera. But I got the camera, read the instruction manual. My boyfriend did as well, so we both knew exactly how to use this camera because the intention was to take it underwater and I didn't want to mess anything up. So I get the camera and I take it with me to Greece and I film all this great footage and stuff. I do think that, you know, the camera is useful for what I need. But the very first time I put the camera underwater, I see air bubbles coming out from around the front screen. There's like the camera in the front, and then there's a little square screen in the front, and there's a screen on the back. And I put it underwater, and I see air bubbles leaving like the outline of the front screen. And I show Jean, I'm like, does this look weird to you? He's like, no, I think it's okay. So I use it for 10 minutes, and I take it back to where I'm staying, and I look at the footage and everything is great. And then I take it back out the next day again for like 5-10 minutes underwater. The water is very salty in Greece, and so I couldn't even go past 1 meter, okay? The GoPro itself can't go more than 10 meters underwater without additional protection. And I just want to clarify that I was going maybe half a meter under the surface. Like I could not go lower if I tried. And second day, again, same thing. I'm seeing bubbles and I'm filming and everything, but it's like a little bit concerning. But that being said, I take it out, no problems, and the footage looks great. And then the third day, I take it back out, same as day 1 and day 2. But this time, instead of bubbles from around the screen becomes like inundated. I don't know if that's a word in English, but it's like water in the front screen. And I see, like, I don't even see it because I'm filming. Jean sees it. He's like, girl, there is something wrong with your camera. Like, what is this? And I flip the camera around. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the heck? And I run out of the beach. Like I run out of the ocean, out of the sea, up to my chair because I'm like, okay, I need to take a picture of this. I need to take a video of this because like this whole GoPro situation has me so stressed. And like anything that happens, I need to film it, record it, like so that I have proof. So I'm there like recording it. I'll put the footage on the screen. But it was like within 2 minutes of going underwater, the screen had become completely flooded. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, did I not close this properly? Is this my fault? Is this a defective camera? I like rush back to the room where I'm staying and I dry the whole camera off. And I was reading about other people that this had happened to, and people were suggesting that you open the little hatch where the battery is and to air it out and everything. So I opened the hatch where the battery is and it's dry. The battery is dry, the SIM card is dry, the whole thing is dry. It's just the front screen that is completely flooded and messed up. And so to me in my head, I'm like, okay, well, at least this isn't my fault. You know, I closed everything properly, and the proof of that is in that the battery and the camera and the SIM card are all intact. Like I could film, I could take pictures, I just couldn't use the front screen. But it personally scared me because it's not a big deal if I can't use the front screen, not the end of the world. But I was just like, okay, if the front screen is flooding, like, is it going to flood into the camera next time? It really got me so panicked. So I immediately call and email the store where I bought the GoPro from. I'm like, guys, this happened and I would love to have a replacement sent to me or available for me to pick up. And they're like, we don't do that. You have to go through GoPro to activate the product guarantee. I'm like, but I bought it from you guys and I don't want to deal with GoPro again. Please, like this will take months. I don't want to deal with it. Please, will you just take it back? And they were like, no, we can't. They've changed the process. So I'm like, okay, let's get back on the phone with GoPro. And I decided actually not to call them for 2 reasons. Number one is that, like I mentioned, the chat customer service was the American office, and the French phone, or the phone customer service, was the French office. And I was getting kinder service at the American office, and also you had the bonus of being able to save the chat. So I was like, okay, at least I have proof. So I sent them a message. I was like, hi, this happened, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to be sent a replacement. And instantly they helped me. I was like, oh my gosh, where were you a month ago, more than a month ago, when my GoPro got stolen? I should have just contacted the American customer service office in the first place. But yeah, I just had to send him a copy of my invoice and a picture of the serial number. He was like, as a courtesy, we're just going to replace this for you, like a one-time courtesy. No stress, no problem. We want to make sure you have a great camera. And here is a return shipping label. You just have to send us the old one and we'll send you a new one. And he was like, can I get your address to send and everything? And I was like, here's my address, but please let me just tell you something before you send me a camera. And I explained the whole situation, how this is the second camera I'm purchasing, how the first one got stolen. I don't want anything shipped to my house because I'm sure it will get stolen. Could they ship it back to the boutique? Could they ship it to a pickup point? Like anything but my house, please. And he was like, unfortunately, we can't go with another delivery company than UPS. So we have to ship it to your address with them. And I'm like, okay, could you request special packaging that is more secure than a cardboard box and tape? He's like, yes, I could put that request in. And he was like, I totally get it. I understand why you're stressed. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I will personally follow your case to make sure that this camera makes it to you safely. And I'm like, my goodness. Like, what is this customer service all of a sudden? Like, I don't know if he opened my file because I use the same email and the same name and phone number and everything, if he could see everything, all the trauma that had happened to me before. But I was like, wow, where was this customer service when I needed it? A month ago, when I was begging them to give me a refund or replacement for the camera I never received. So anyways, that's where I'm at. I finally got my refund. I got a replacement that I am pretty sure is defective given what happened. I'm grateful that GoPro is going to send me a replacement given the fact that I purchased a defective GoPro. And, you know, I have mixed emotions at this point. I'm grateful that the broken GoPro problem was resolved very positively and very quickly, but it seems like such a small thing when I compare it to truly a month of living hell that I lived dealing with GoPro and UPS. But yeah, that is the end of my story. I still don't have a functional GoPro. You can stay tuned. If I post any other videos with action footage, then you'll know that I got my replacement safe and sound. But yeah, I hope this story time was interesting and useful to you guys. Even though I do have this positive resolution for the damaged GoPro, I still regret that I had to give them any of my money. I regret that the action camera market is small, that there wasn't another company that I could purchase from. Because like I mentioned, I don't want to support a company that doesn't support their customers. Like, yeah, I don't need to repeat myself. That's all. I don't want to support a company that takes your money and then doesn't support you when things go wrong at their fault. I'll leave it at that. I feel like I've said enough. Oh yeah, I think another thing that I also wanted to mention in this video is just how different the reality of customer service is here in France versus Canada. Not just customer service, but service in general. Like I said in my first video, UPS in Canada is considered to be a reputable delivery company. I'm never worried in Canada when something is being delivered by UPS. And just the fact that every single delivery company, you guys would have seen you might have seen all of my story times, every single time something is delivered to my house, there's a problem. It gets stolen. It doesn't get delivered. Like, just, you never end up with the product that you paid for. And it's just a huge problem with the delivery systems here in Paris and maybe even France. And then the customer service side as well. Like, I just think it's ridiculous that the customer service phone line that I was in touch with so often told me these really ridiculous things like, sucks to be you, and I'm paraphrasing, get a lawyer, this could take months for you to resolve, not our problem. What else did he say? I was honestly shocked the first time when the guy told me that I should have anticipated this kind of situation and I should have ordered the camera way in advance before my trip and it's not their fault. It's like, that's not at all what customer service should be. And it really gives me trauma now. Like, this has happened so many times with so many companies. It's like anytime you have a problem with a product in France and you have to deal with customer service, it is a nightmare because nobody wants to take responsibility. Nobody wants to help you. Nobody wants to do anything. Like specifically with deliveries and with customer service in France, it is the worst. It's the worst you can experience. And it's such a culture shock for someone who grew up in North America and who experienced customer service in North America, especially in Canada. Like it's always, I was telling this to Jean, because even when I called the store that I had purchased the GoPro from, I was like, if I had bought this from Best Buy or Walmart or Target, and I told them that the camera that they sold me was defective and that I had photo and video proof of it, they would be like, we are so sorry, let us take that one and we'll give you a replacement right away. It's not a problem. Like that is how that situation would go. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, call GoPro, we can't do anything. Like, I know I'm just rambling at this point. I know this video is way too long. I just think that it continually is shocking to me, upsetting to me that there is no respect for customers in this country, which is mind-blowing because I always think, like, I don't want to say that the customer is always right, but when you purchase an item from a company, there does need to be a certain level of respect from that company to you, and assistance and service, like that should be included in the price you pay. So I'm gonna end there. I know that I have done a lot of ranting on this topic on this video. Again, I hope this was useful for you guys. Make sure if you've moved to France or Paris and you're ordering anything, just be vigilant. Don't let this happen to you guys. Let me know if this has unfortunately happened to you. I think it's really great to share experiences down below in the comments to make everyone more aware, more vigilant when they are receiving deliveries and ordering things. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. What I can tell you is that I did end up taking a GoPro on my trip to Greece, so you will be able to see the beautiful Mediterranean Sea of Greece in an upcoming vlog. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys in my next one.